this is the heartbeat, good heartbeat, your baby's alive, and this is her arms, this is her feet. And then she just stops. And she's like, and she looks at us, and I'm like, what's going on? And she got really serious. She goes, don't ask me any more questions. And she gets up and walks out of the room. So we then are told fucking by a nurse, comes in and tells us, well, go back and talk to the doctors. And the doctors told us that the ultrasound technician detected a abdominal abnormality in your baby. We are not qualified to diagnose it. Well, do you know what it could be? They're like, we have no idea, because they didn't want to diagnose, whatever legal reason. They said, well, do you have any clue what it could have been? And I went on the internet and I typed in abdominal abnormality in ultrasound, and it came up with two choices: gastroschisis or umbilical, which was the organs growing on the outside of the body because of the fucking hernia. And the gastroschisis is the condition when there's a membrane on the outside of the fucking, when there's an extra membrane, it's fucking gastroschisis. And when there isn't, because it's like a fucking clear sac that holds all organs in. So, they couldn't diagnose it. So, we went, and they sent us to a fucking specialist. Well, we go to the specialist. Like 4 days later, we don't know what the fuck's wrong with our baby. I looked it up online. And so we're like, okay, so we take the ultrasounds to this fucking neonatal specialist. And they're like, and they're at the same hospital that administered those fucking antibiotics and everything. And they said, well, I'm not qualified to diagnose this. I'm not. And I looked at him, and I was like, doctor, do you have any clue? I know you can't diagnose it, but do you have any idea what it could be? And he's like, sometimes the organs can grow on the outside of the body in infants. I'm not qualified to say. So we leave. 2 weeks later, Stephanie's at the emergency room at Olive View Hospital down in a different hospital, like a fucking ghetto hospital down where she was getting her ultrasounds. And she went to the emergency room, and they informed us that our son had a condition, umbilical, a large umbilical, which we were explaining that was a condition where the organs grow on the outside of the body, and that it's about 60 to 70% of the time survivable by baby. There's about a 30% mortality rate. There's some complications with it, but your baby is going to have to go through like 6 months in the hospital. He's going to have to be hooked up to feeding tubes. He's going to have intravenous fucking nutrients given to him. He's going to most likely be on a ventilator for at least some mechanical fucking support. And he's going to go through a fucking really rough patch of existence for about 6 months to his first year. But, for the most part, once they get past it, they can be running, fucking jumping, happy kids. Well, okay, well, we go to the hospital and we're immediately sent to a genetic specialist. And the genetic specialist goes through and a genetic counselor, and basically they do an amniocentesis. All the genes are correct, all the major stuff's correct, where they fucking ruled out spina bifida and all these other genetic disorders. And then during the ultrasounds, I saw it happening. Well, okay, this week your son, basically his heart, because of the umbilical, is kind of down, and it's kind of growing. The things they notice is kind of growing lower, and it's sitting down in the other part, and I can see where his heart's attached to his lungs and the fucking main artery, but it's being pulled down. And then they're like, well, and throughout the next few month and a half in ultrasounds, I saw, now he's got a double right ventricle heart defect, which he's got a hole in his pericardium. Well, of course you have your fucking, you're pulling your heart's connected to your fucking chest, and you're fucking pulling down with all your organs. How it can fucking be, because all those things aren't supposed to be ever fucking, with babies, when fucking growing tissue, my feet, this is why they fucking not so bad. Let me show you what fucking, 2 months of small shoes that didn't fit me did when I was fucking 5 years old.
Yep.
Tissue, okay, when it's growing, especially when it's from the point where it is expanding till it no longer grows in size and starts deteriorating, okay, cannot have exterior physical forces applied to it, or else that happens. And that's why my son, and that's where pentology of control comes from. And they know that, yes, there is a gene that is responsible for a gastroschisis or embolism to occur. But now, pentology of Cantrell, which none of the doctors will say, but I know this, is a physical it's this physical chain of events that happens when a certain size in follicle, okay, occurs in a certain place, and two different proportions. Like one out of 10,000 babies has an follicle, right? Okay, well, 1 out of 60 million babies has one of certain proportions in a certain place, and that causes a chain reactions of things to not grow correctly. Like his sternum was not all together, and his fucking and his diaphragm was not right, and it causes this nightmare for doctors. So, well, basically, they really wanted to work on my kid because I'll look up on the internet. Double right, first thing, Daddy, follicle. He has an follicle. Okay, now, if you look up follicle and you look up double right ventricular heart defect, there's no syndrome that exists. Nothing will come up but pentology of Cantrell. If you take double right ventricular heart defect, follicle, and slight scoliosis, nothing else in the planet exists. In fact, the fucking follicle doesn't exist without any of the other symptoms. So you have 5 things going wrong, and the one main component of it is that an follicle never, in any other instance, occurs with a double right ventricular heart defect, slight scoliosis, a shortened sternum, or any 2 of them, but 5 of them. So why the fuck, right? Because I had fucking 20 doctors that we saw, specialists. How could they misdiagnose that? Because it couldn't be anything else. I mean, when I'll show you on the internet. I fucking type in gastroschisis or fucking follicle, it'll pop up. If I type in gastroschisis and fucking double right ventricular heart defect, anything that will pop up is pentology of Cantrell. There's no other syndrome. It has never happened in medical history that a fucking double right ventricular heart defect and a fucking follicle has occurred. 99% of babies that are diagnosed with pentology of Cantrell are terminated because they have a 1 in 10 chance of surviving to the age of 1. And the oldest, the oldest ages that they ever get to be is like one of them got to be 7 years old. So we had doctors telling us, oh yeah, we can fix him. He's going to go through a rough patch, but we think we can get him through. But everybody else that goes like 90, that's why there's only been 60 documented cases, because ever since the ultrasound came out, and it happened once, anybody with any good sense just aborted their kid. But I couldn't, dude, because my son was inside with Stephanie, and there was this thing. And I've never had blind faith in anything. I don't trust anything, but like my son, dude, he just screamed out. He was like, I want fucking chance. We will beat this. I will fucking get better. And there was and he just screamed, I want my fucking chance. We're gonna win. And I've never believed anything more in my life, ever. That there was never one point in time, ever, when I saw my son crashing in the fucking night, everybody else was like, oh, your son's dying. That I thought for 1 second that we weren't gonna fucking pull through, because I was like, that's where my fucking strength was, is I went, it wasn't from anything but blind faith. My son inside fucking Stephanie, and we straight up communicated with each other, because when I say me and David talked, he named himself. When I fucking sat there, I'd talk to Stephanie, I'd be like, hey Stephanie, I'd be like, hey David, what's up? And I'd hear it, but I would hear, in her stomach, him talking, I'd be like, what's up? And I'd be like, kick mommy when she's doing me, and every fucking time I'd be like, boo. And I'd be like, hey David, I was like, hey, what you want your name to be? She was going through names. And I said, are you sure what you want your name to be? And I heard it 15 times over. Well, he told me nothing but we're gonna make it and we're gonna survive. And he told Stephanie something. that was in that letter she wrote me. She said,